This show is part of the Haunted Attractions Podcast Network. Find all of our shows at hauntedattractionspodcast.com.
This is Haunting the Globe. Short but intense interviews from haunted attractions around the world.
Today, we're doing something a little different. We're going to be doing a follow-up interview based on an article that appeared in the latest edition of the Haunted Attractions magazine. So those of you that are not familiar, Haunted Attractions magazine is an amazing resource. They do a lot of really amazing coverage on the industry, and they highlight haunts, and they give you lists of top haunts, and et cetera, et cetera. So today, joining us all the way from Thornhill in Ontario, we have Chris, who runs the Thornhill Woods Haunted House. And this is a home haunt, but it's kind of an incredible home haunt story. And there was an entire article done in the magazine, and this is Chris's 11th year. And I'm not really going to go into what was covered in the article. If you're curious to read the article, you can go to the Haunted Attractions magazine. I'll put the links in the show notes, of course. But in there, they reference how this is the haunted house is to all volunteer run, that it's run by this amazing support system of family and friends that Chris has garnered together, that this is their 11 years, and that they have donated in excess of $40,000 to the Sick Kids Foundation, which is incredible. And so I really just wanted to get more information and delve more into this amazing story. So Chris, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
So let's dive in the article. It was written before you really had too much of an idea of what this year's theme was going to be. So let's just start off with that easy question. You know, what should someone expect from your haunt this year?
Well, this year we're going to go back to our grassroots, which is just your traditional spooky, creepy, haunted house. Last year we did the Season of the Witch, and it was a really well perceived, I think, by everybody that attended. As I said, every year we try to change it up and we try to make it exciting because we don't want it so that if we have regulars come back that they know what to expect. So this year we will be doing the regular haunted house spooky theme with some witches, some ghosts, some goblins, vampires, werewolves, a few other skeletons and other tricks that, we'll surprise people with.
Yeah, that's exciting. I mean, so basically you're hitting the classic haunted house theme.
That's correct.
Oh, that's awesome. That's my favorite. It brings me back to like my childhood and all those awesome 90s movies and everything.
Yeah, well, you get a little mix of everything.
That's great. Well, we mentioned a little bit last year. Can you walk us through briefly the history of your haunt and kind of how it developed? I know that we were talking previously, and you talked about having a division between your yard and the inside where people could do either or, and you obviously have a theme every year. So can you give us a snapshot of the history of your haunted house?
Sure. We the neighborhood that we moved into, there was quite a few kids that everybody had at each of their homes. And both our sons at the time had issues where they had to be admitted to the Sick Kids Hospital here locally in Toronto. And it's such an amazing hospital, and they really helped out our kids. Thank God everything's fine. They're good today. There's no issues with them. But we wanted to give back. So because there's so many kids in our neighborhood, and Halloween's all about kids, we thought, what better way than to start raising donations for Sick Kids Foundation and donating that to, a good charity? Because as a kid, me growing up, we used to have the UNICEF boxes that we would put around our necks and go around and everybody put pennies or nickels or dimes in it. Well, they don't do that anymore. I don't know why that stopped, but we want to kind of continue that tradition on. So we started off the first year, going back 11 years ago, with just a few pumpkins and skeletons, and we got such a great response. And then from there, we just kind of moved it up to some tombstones and maybe a witch and a few more pumpkins. And then next thing you know, everybody started expecting every year something more exciting to happen, and we got to be known in the neighborhood as the Halloween house. Oh, you live in the Halloween house. So that's when I came up with the idea, well, let's create a name. Let's call ourselves something. So we live in Thornhill, so we became the Thornhill Woods Haunted House. And every year it has grown since. And I have a real passion for Halloween and do a lot of following with different groups that are on the internet and YouTube and Facebook, and get a lot of great inspiration and ideas from fellow other home haunters. Like to attend many trade shows down in the U.S., ones like Trans World, HauntCon, Midwest Haunters Convention, and all these shows are what give me most of my inspiration, and also where I buy most of my props, whether they're pneumatic or static, because I don't like to have stuff that everybody else has that you could get, when you go shop at the spirit stores or the Walmarts or any other local Halloween stores that sell stuff. I like stuff to be unique when people come to our house. So we try to come up with a different theme every year. And as I said, over the last 11 years, it just keeps growing every year. I continuously keep getting new props. Old props I like to switch out. I'll either swap them with other haunters and trade them for other props, or I'll sell them, and what money I can get I use to buy new props.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that. I love how passionate you are about it, and how you're actually, you're building your own home haunt here, but you're also so involved in the community and seeking inspiration and ideas and trading props. That's a great idea. And I like repurposing some of your areas to make sure that it flows every year. And for those of you listening, if you want to, Chris actually has a list of his top resources and trade shows that he recommends. That's in the article in Haunted Attractions magazine, and he lists which things he has found the greatest impact and everything. And I'm not going to give that away on the show here because you should just go read the article. So anyway, something I forgot to mention, I think is a really good time to bring this up. If at this point you should already be hooked and you should already be excited to go and check out the Thornhill Woods Haunted House. And you'll be open this year, if I'm correct, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the 29th, 30th, and 31st from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., and it's kind of a first-come, first-serve. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Awesome. So those of you listening, of course, I'll put those dates and information in the show notes, but just, keep that in mind. And how do the donations work, Chris? What should they bring?
Well, you have two ways of donating. You can either come and you can physically drop whatever donation you want into a donation box. We have one at the front entrance of the cemetery, and that's for the people that are too chicken to go through the haunted house, and they can donate there by giving money. We have also a donation box as you enter into the haunted house. And then lastly, the one that I think a lot of people are comfortable with, they can go online. On our website, www.thornhillwoodshauntedhouse.com, we have a section where it says donate. And that's actually under the Sick Kids tab. And when you go in there, you can click on the donation tab. It takes you directly to the Sick Kids website. And anyone that makes a donation, they will give you a tax receipt. And that's mainly for people that are in Canada. If you're in the U.S., then obviously you wouldn't get a tax receipt. But that's how you can help us out. And this year is pretty exciting for us because, as you said earlier in the show, we were up to about 40,000. That's what we've raised over the past 11 years. This year, if we can raise another 10, which I'm very comfortable with saying I believe we will, Sick Kids Foundation is going to give us a plaque that they are going to mount permanently on the Sick Kids Foundation Hall of Fame wall. And I'm proud to say that there is not another professional or home haunter out there in Canada that has done this and raised this much money. So we will be the first to have our names up on the Wall of Fame, and I'm pretty proud and excited to see that happen.
Wow, that is incredible. And I'm looking at the tab right now here, and it is very simple, and it says on here, last year you guys raised $14,300 in support of the cardiac care unit, and, to date, after 11 years, $40,000. I mean, that's awesome. So also, to those of you listening, share this story also, and we can support Chris and to getting to that 10,000 mark this year, so that they can we'll have the haunted attraction industry will be represented in that Sick Kids Wall of Fame. So
definitely.
Well, getting back to the attraction for this year, what innovations do you have planned for this year?
Well, I'm proud to say I made a whole bunch of different purchases of different products. Anybody that attends the Trans World Show down in St. Louis every year gets to know who all the different vendors are. And this year was really exciting because back in March of this year, Unit 70 got back into the game, and they actually haven't participated, I think, in about 6 or 7 years since they've been to any major trade show. So they were there, and I made a point of buying a couple props from them. And they look like, if you've ever seen the movie The Exorcist, when Linda Blair comes down the stairs kind of upside down on her hands and her legs, that's what these two, I don't know if you want to call them witches or zombies, look like. I'm still trying to decide if I'm going to mount them on the upper part of my house because I don't know if they might be a little too freaky for people in the neighborhood. I may end up having to put them inside the haunted house, but we'll see. I won't know until I, get them up and take a look. Another really good vendor that's out there is Atmosphere. And these are the guys that create the DVDs where you shine ghosts that float around and different objects where you put like an old bed sheet or shower curtain up over your wall and use a projector. So I bought some new products that these guys have, and I will be shining them through the windows for everybody to see. So that's also something new. I got a few other props that I'm going to be using, and they'll be going on there. So I have them also.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah,
that sounds great, man.
Well, we got to make it exciting every year because, as I said, the kids and the adults, they know what to expect, and we're always trying to give them that wow factor. And we like to be that house in the neighborhood that people grow up as a kid saying, "We had this crazy guy in our neighborhood that went all out and did this wild walk through haunted house." And so we got to keep that wow factor up by getting new props every year.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds awesome. It sounds like you've done a great job this season of picking out cool stuff from vendors.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, let's, keeping all this in mind and how you're mentioning all of the stuff that you're doing, the next question I have for you is how do you keep a healthy balance between being a home haunter, and I know that you're a husband and, a father, you mentioned in the article doing stuff with your sons, and you also have a full-time job. So, how do you keep the balance between all of this?
Well, it's just, as you said, you got to be able to properly balance everything. Work is work, that's what pays the bills and helps pay for all the new props and everything. So, I always look forward to having time off. I had time off last week, and obviously, most people travel and go away. Me being a Halloween enthusiast, I obviously spent time working on props and fixing stuff and preparing stuff for this year. But at the same time, I spent time, taking the kids and my wife out to do family and day events and stuff. Weekends, same thing again. It's, you wait for the kids to go to bed, and that's when you get on the internet and do your surfing and update your website and stuff like that. But just bottom line, prioritizing, I can't speak here, what's important and what you need to get done, and then the other stuff, you just kind of leave on the back burner, and then you slowly get to it.
Yeah, it definitely seems too that you have found a way to make this not just not just like you're crazy eccentric, like Dad is in the workshop and that's his thing, but you bring your whole family into it. With your sons helping with the witch cage last year, to like you're mentioning your siblings and other family coming in to help. So it sounds like you've even turned this haunted house into a whole like family activity.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I'm very fortunate to have a very supportive wife and kids that they love Halloween. I don't know many kids that are 8 and 11 years old that do the stuff that my kids do. Like, they watch The Walking Dead with me. Most people are horrified that I let them watch that show, but they love it, and they know that, it's not real. They know that we get ideas on makeup and ideas on doing spooky things sometimes through watching shows like this. But both my boys, they're part of the actors. They get dressed up. They're little zombies. Both sons are in my 2014 video. They're in there. I obviously can't point them out to you, but they're definitely in there. But they love scaring, and it's definitely a family event by far.
Awesome. Well, leading into that, let's change gears quickly. What have been some of the unexpected hurdles and unexpected benefits that you've experienced for being in this industry for so long?
Well, I think, like most of us, it's just there's never enough time. As you just said in your previous question, you've got so much stuff that you've got to juggle, and there's always more that you want to do. One of my biggest regrets, I would have to say, is I'm very envious and very jealous of a lot of other home haunters that take the time to build their own props and create these masterpieces. I drool when I watch their YouTube videos or when they post their photos or their make and takes that they've done on Facebook. I've done some stuff over the years, but I will, gladly, admit it, and I won't lie about it. I buy a lot of my stuff. But when I do buy stuff, I buy high-end stuff, and I want stuff to last and look really good. But that would be probably, I think, my biggest hurdle, just not having enough time to build my own props.
And what about some unexpected benefits? I mean, I think one of which has been definitely your family involvement and family support.
Sorry, what do you mean in that perspective? Sorry.
Well, unexpected benefit, like a sense of community maybe that you've gotten from having gone to all these different trade shows and like connecting with people across the world, or any other thing that's delighted you from being in the industry.
Oh yeah, no, definitely 100%. I think one of the other huge benefits is the relationships I've formed over the years by connecting with other home haunters, whether it be through the trade shows, through Facebook, through YouTube, making comments, because when you post stuff that you've done, you get the comments back, and it's a real thrill to meet these guys and girls and their families, and I'm proud to say I've got some really good connections with some quality other home haunters, and even sculptors and prop builders that are in the haunt industry that, you're able to contact if you ever have any questions or concerns, or, you want to build something. It's definitely a win-win. And for the community here, again, I'm proud to say that I'm the guy that gives a lot of the kids in this neighborhood nightmares. At the same time, provide a good old-fashioned, traditional Halloween haunted house that everybody in the community and neighborhood can enjoy. We're not one of these haunts where it's all like, blood and guts and everything. We try to pride ourselves on kind of being like the Disney mansion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at.
Well, excellent. Okay, well, here's a little curveball for you. What is in your iPod during those long haunt construction days when you're putting all this together?
I'm a diehard Led Zeppelin fan, so I'll definitely be probably listening to my Led Zeppelin song. I mean, it's the same soundtrack. It's what motivates me and keeps me going.
Oh man, that's amazing. I used to have a teacher that loved Led Zeppelin. On the last day of school, he came in and actually played a few songs on his guitar, and we were just like astounded because he was a history teacher.
Definitely, that's awesome.
Great. So, all right. So, getting here to the end, what is the one thing that you would suggest to someone who is either trying to grow their haunt, or they're trying to break into a commercial haunt, or they're just trying to get into the industry as a home haunter?
Do your homework, definitely. I was very due diligent about that myself. I didn't want to just start. Anybody can go out, to a Walmart or a spirit store and buy a whole bunch of different props and throw them on their yard, but it just looks like a big mess. I'm very I don't know if I can use the word anal, about the way I want everything to look in my haunt and my yard. And I think it's very important, as I just said a minute ago, to do your homework and get to know, are you going to be, a haunted cemetery? Then do, a theme that's themed around a cemetery. If you're going to be a haunted house, then try to pick a theme again. Are you, like I did last year, Season of the Witch? Are you Frankenstein? Are you vampire? Try to come up with a theme, and then that'll kind of help lead you into doing research through Facebook, YouTube, talking to people through Twitter. I definitely recommend going to trade shows. Start small. Go to maybe Fan Expo and see, there's different horror sections there where people have stuff for sale and ideas that you can get. Go to some of the bigger trade shows. Visit professional haunted houses or even home haunts that are in your neighborhood or community. That will also give you inspiration and ideas.
Oh, awesome. Those are all great tips, especially the trade show ones, and, actually seeking out a story, basically coming up with a theme and a story and a good driving, unified force there to keep everything tied into one little haunt. So great. Excellent information there. Well, we're here at the end of the show. Is there anything that you'd like to add?
No, I'd just like to say thank you for the interview, and thanks to Chris Marmar from Rogues Hollow, the Haunted House magazine that he's representing, and it's great to be a part of it.
Oh yeah, and for those of you listening, if this maybe you haven't heard, Chris has actually done 2 episodes here on the podcast. So you can actually listen to Chris talk about design and photography in our archives, and I'll link those episodes in the show notes. One last thing here when we sign off. Thank you so much, Chris, for joining us. If you guys that are listening want to make sure that you receive our Monday Digest so that you don't ever miss any episode, you can text the keyword haunted, HAUNTED, to 33444, or if you're an international guest, or if you're in Canada, you're listening to this internationally, you just go to our website at www.hauntedattractionspodcast.com, and there's a Monday Digest sign up there in several places on the page. And if you want to see all the notes, and Chris is working on his 2015 trailer, and once that's released, I will put it in this page and everything. You can, to get the notes for this and the links, and I'll link to the donation page for the Sick Kids Charity Foundation and all of Chris's social media on our show page. And the show page for this episode is located on our website, hauntedattractionspodcast.com/E as in episode 219, E219. Okay? So those of you listening, check it out. Get those links. Help Chris reach his $10,000 goal for this year, so we get that plaque and we represent the haunt industry. And that's it. Thanks, Chris. Peace, guys.
Thank you.
This show is part of the Haunted Attractions Podcast Network. Find all of our shows at hauntedattractionspodcast.com.